lovely friends, good afternoon. Come and sit down with me and don't leave too soon. Thank you for stopping in, thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try. Hello there, my lovely friends. Good afternoon. Come and sit down with me and don't leave too soon. Thank you for stopping in. Thanks for saying hi. Together we can make a difference if we try.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon for me. Good evening for most of the rest of you. Welcome to the Day 6 recap of the Lori Vallow Daybell conspiracy to commit the murder of her husband trial, and the co-stream with my good friends Trial TV Live and my co-host, the Squeegee of Justice.
Hey, Joe, how are you today?
I'm good. Today had some good energy in the people that were out, in the public watching, and some interesting things we learned in court too.
And we are early. We're an hour and a half early, so we definitely have to talk about that.
Yes, that's nice, because when you go 4 days a week and you're up at 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning or earlier sometimes, and then you and I are streaming until 8:30 at night my time, and I'm just exhausted by then, and I don't feel like going and running errands, so they get put off until Friday, and I couldn't put them off, and I got to do them today. So yay!
Yes, you did. Yeah, and then there's so much work that goes on the back end, and you know that, and a lot of people don't. And when we're finished here on the front end, then we'd have like a half hour to an hour worth of work on the back end. So even though like tonight we should be done by like 9:30. Well, we usually go 2.5 hours. So
yeah, but we'll have less material today, right?
That's true. That is true. We'll have like an hour less material, but somehow we always talk for 2.5 hours. I don't know how that happens, but I guess it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, but, no, less Lori is never a bad thing.
Yes. Well, I think I'm enjoying just talking to you as well. So
yeah, likewise.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So Day 6, as always, it starts out with the judge coming in asking about motions and whatnot. So,
yeah.
Or do you want to talk
before that? Yeah, let's set a little backdrop of getting there. So I got there a little earlier today because of all the craziness of it being so packed yesterday, and 5 to 10 people getting turned away. I was like, well, maybe I need to go a little bit earlier today, and that was plenty early enough. I was first in line, but barely. But we didn't have as many people. Nobody got turned away today. There were a few empty seats in the public seats. So a few, not a lot, but a few. So it was good, and I honestly feel like I'm making some friends. Like Tom Evans, like he and I clicked like right off the bat, and we talk about obviously the particulars of the case. I had him on for the interview on Sunday, which was a very good interview. But I mean, we just talk like, trial watching friends, like true crime friends, just like, can we solve this? And his thing that he said Sunday that still rings true today is we don't know exactly what happened in that house that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But other people that are there too to watch the trial. I met somebody that came down from Seattle today, Jesse, if you're watching, hey, Hi there. Joe Schmo says hi to Jesse. She got to meet like 3 of her favorite people. Nate Eaton. She listens to East Idaho News a lot up there in Seattle. And
Cool.
she got to meet Lauren from Hidden True Crime. And she got to meet Kay Woodcock. So she had a really good day today. And I'm happy for her.
You have to look what Sis, you should have been a detective, says about what you did today. Tell us about that.
Oh no, I'm not gonna do that. I don't believe in
Oh,
like bragging about something that was just done because
just because. All
yeah,
right.
because it was the right thing to do and it was a good thing to do and a decent thing to do. So
Right.
I feel like if you tell the story about it afterwards, you kind of diminish from that a little bit. So
I hear you.
I'm just gonna enjoy the experience for what it was.
Okay. That sounds fair enough. I can get with that. But there was a woman who wasn't able to see in the courtroom today. That's interesting. Is there a story with that? Did you have a chance to talk with her or?
I did. She ended up sitting next to me. Not coincidentally, but and then we had lunch together, and then she sat next to me again in the afternoon session, and yeah, that's who I was telling you about, who got to meet some of her favorite people, Nate and
Oh,
Lauren
gotcha.
and Kay. Yeah, that's Jesse. Hi, Jesse.
Very cool.
And yeah, then we get started a little bit after 10 o'clock, 10:02. It's unusual for Judge Bresky. He's usually right on time or early, and he was early later, but 2 minutes, we can't complain about 2 minutes.
I'm not going to quibble over 2 minutes. Yeah. Considering
No.
what we've seen on other judges, that's nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
So then we get into some subpoena errors by Lori. So she subpoenaed Larry Woodcock, and she violated the Arizona Bill of Victims' Rights.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go through certain channels to subpoena someone who is the victim or the family member of a victim of a crime, the survivor, next of kin, if you will. That's actually, the judge said that, next of kin. So he struck that subpoena. It needs to go through the county attorney. Then there was another Vallow in there, and I didn't write the first name of that Vallow that she also mistakenly sent a subpoena to. And she said I didn't intend to subpoena them. I just signed a stack of subpoenas and they went out.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge is like, you didn't look at those? You just signed those? And it kind of sounds like the school teacher questioning the kid who claims that the dog ate their homework. I mean, it's like, you didn't look at those before you signed those and sent them out.
Right.
And I have my thoughts on it, but then he said, you need to be more diligent. So a lot of these defense witnesses aren't going to get in this trial. So he's like, in the next trial, you need to be more diligent when you send out subpoenas.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's supposedly a video that Janice Cox, who is her mother, they just talked about Janice today. They didn't talk about Summer Shiflett, which is her sister. So maybe her sister has flat out refused to testify about this video that she claims that she saw. But the judge says you can't have a witness come in and testify about something that they saw on a video unless that video has some sort of foundation entered through a witness to be entered as evidence. And then you'll probably have, evidentiary issues with getting that video in anyway. But besides the fact, if you have a witness come in and just talk about a video that they saw with no foundation, it's hearsay and it's inadmissible. So there's nothing relevant at this point for Janice Cox, who is her mother, who is one of the last people on her witness list, has to testify about. I mean, I don't know if her mother's going to testify about anything else about her contentious or, dysfunctional relationship with Charles at some point in time or not. I don't know.
I keep wondering about this because we've brought this up a couple times. Remember in her opening, she said that Charles and Tylee had issues and that there was she specifically called out a month, I believe it was March, that there was a video in her, the evidence will show. So I wonder if that's the video that was on somebody's phone that Janice and Summers saw. So I'm just wondering if she's going to tie that back around, because she teased it. She said she had a video, and I wonder if that's the video that she was talking about in openings. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be.
So
I'm saying hi to a couple people in chat that just dropped in. Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Miss Shorty is there, out and about with Diane. She's in Australia. She's in our chat.
La Mesa Filipino Food Club is in here.
We have
hello there.
Yeah, Joanne Jedi Platypus and Pammy and Sherry. They're both doing giving you some love, and Akasha, always love to see her.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Hey, Sherry.
Sherry says hi, Joey Schmoey. I like that.
Got to show that one.
I guess it could be Joe Schmo, but Joey Schmoey.
Yeah, no, that works too.
Nanar.
Widespread panic.
So good to see you guys, and so good to see everybody in the chat. Love it.
Yes. All right. So then next we get into her specific defense witnesses. The state filed a motion to preclude 4 witnesses. I have that, but I don't have it with me right this second. I think it might be in my downloads folder because I just downloaded it yesterday.
I have them if you want me to say, or
motion. This is probably the motion to preclude right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to share that real quick because that's what the discussion is about, and we have time. Like on a regular night, I probably wouldn't, because that would just like drag it out an extra however many minutes.
Sure.
So pulling up a PDF. Here we go. So the state of Arizona. So let's go when this was filed. It was filed on the 12th. It didn't show up until yesterday afternoon session on the court docket downloadable site. The state of Arizona, through undersigned counsel, requests this court preclude Baisha Ataihu, Gabriel Bonilla, Ashlyn Rend, Barry Cox, and Zachary Cox. To date, the state has been unable to interview the first 4 and believes that they have does not appear they've been subpoenaed. And we talk about Zachary Cox. Now, Zachary Cox is Adam's son, and he was with him around the time period and maybe even on that day. I don't know if they both flew down. Zachary was staying at Barry's house, at Grandma and Grandpa's house.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. But he has been interviewed. Zachary has been interviewed. So there was a discussion about, is Zachary's testimony really going to be relevant to her defense case? And she said, yes, my investigator interviewed him, and he is going to have some contradictory statements to what Adam testified to in court, which was interesting to me. And Jeff White was in there. He was sitting in the back table, and he was nowhere near a microphone. So Judge asked him some questions, and he answered. And I'm kind of on the opposite side of the gallery on the far right. And I couldn't hear what his response was, if he agreed with Lori that some of the testimony was contradictory or not. Did you catch any of that?
He said he was belligerent. Info was different from what Adam provided. That was Zach said he lived. Okay. The state says Zach said he lived with Lori and Charles prior to them moving to the house and them separating. And that's the extent. Maybe Mr. White can provide more info. And then Jeff White said Zach was very belligerent, and the information was different from what Adam provided. That's what I have.
Okay. Well, that's relevant then, because he can be used to impeach Adam's testimony.
Yeah. Well, we have to see what quote unquote was different, because it could have been like, yeah, no, we didn't play basketball. We played pickleball. It could be something as silly as that. Right.
Yeah. So, or we went and played basketball at 7:30, not 7 o'clock. Or
right. Something like that. And I just wanted, from what I remember, Adam said that they were staying at Summer's house because she was on vacation, and they were watching her dog. So I guess Zach was staying with the grandparents. Adam's parents. And then when he came into town, he said they had their little blow up and then they went back to Summer's house because that's where they were staying. They were taking care of her dog.
Right.
So I don't know. And then I want to get back to Barry. Why is her father so hard to find? Like, we were asking that question in our chat. Were you thinking that? Were you talking to people there? Like, why is Barry so hard to be found?
Yeah. Is he intentionally avoiding being served a subpoena or volunteering to testify for his daughter?
Right. I mean, that seems so odd considering that the mom is so like staunch and for her. What's your take on, have you heard anything about Barry? We've seen mom interviewed. We know Adam, when he had his blow up, it was basically with his mom, right? Was Barry really a part of that? Like, what's your take on that?
I don't think so. He never mentioned his dad once at all in that conversation about confronting Lori about her beliefs.
Yeah. So
and her mental state.
Oh, Auntie Ray says, I heard through the grapevine Barry Cox is a sovereign.
Well, that would explain why he got put in jail or prison for tax evasion, because sovereigns believe they don't owe tax to the federal government or state government. That would explain that. I haven't heard that, but
today is tax day.
Yes, it is.
Sorry.
Yeah, thanks for that downer. I was having a great day till you mentioned that.
Wah, wah. Today I said today's tax day for those that participate, and everybody's like, "What? We don't have to pay taxes?" I'm like, well, "You didn't hear it from me."
But that still doesn't explain him not being able to be found. I mean,
yeah. There's a story there, Joe. Yes. If be investigatory journalist there, put on your your investigatory.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, find out.
I'm here in the area, so apparently originally they were in Southern California, but apparently they're here in this area now. Maybe it's time for a weekend investigation.
Is that a beard stroker?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Hey, well, exactly. See if you do it by yourself, cool. If you need to take somebody with you for backup, that's cool too.
I will be wearing body worn cam at the least.
And bamboo shirts, just in case.
So when he shoots me, it will be a short wound, and then I can prove Lori right.
Yes, the Kevlar. Bamboo is the new Kevlar.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
So we went through that, and he says none of these witnesses have been found. They haven't been subpoenaed. They haven't been interviewed. And he said, "You're about out of time." And he said, "No, I correct that. You are out of time."
Yeah.
Most of these defense witnesses on the list are not getting in. The defense case is going to be very, very short. And if she chooses not to testify, it's going to be even shorter.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that today, and the general consensus is she's not going to testify on her behalf. Mm-hmm. She's going to try and testify through her closing argument.
Mm-hmm. So who is she able to bring? Because I didn't think the state really talked to anybody other than
Zachary is it for right now that I know of.
Yeah. And they did get a hold of Benia. Oh no, wait, that's her. That's Lori contacted Benia Gabriel.
Yeah, she did, but then he wasn't able to be served with a subpoena.
Right.
Her investigator said I couldn't find him to get him a subpoena.
Yeah, no, you're right.
He's hiding too.
Everybody's hiding. You're right. Zachary Cox is the only one that the state has interviewed. So
she has subpoenaed some police officers too. There hasn't been a ruling yet on whether or not they're going to be allowed in. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was it. She says Zach's relevance is that he was there to hear communications between Charles and Adam, and some of his testimony contradicts Adam's testimony. Then almost 20 after 10:19, the jury enters, and we resume the cross-examination of Detective Inkland. She talks about the chain of custody of the computer, or of of the phone to Computer Crimes Division. I don't know what point she's trying to make. She gave it to Sergeant Valuis. Did you check to see if the threatening text messages were on my phone? No. Did you ask me to review my text messages? No. Did you ask me for my phone? Did you ask me to see my phone? No. Did you ask me for my phone? No. So at that point, I'm wondering why she didn't. Like, we even saw in Melanie Gibbs' interview with detectives that the detectives asked to see her phone. Like she starts like volunteering her phone. She's like, see right here. And then the detective literally takes it out of her hand and starts scrolling through the messages. And Detective Inkland was not that curious.
Yeah. Seems like they just had Alex. Alex admitted it, and that was, they had the blinders on, and they were just going to go for Alex and nobody else.
Yeah. Did you know that I had two phones, or were you aware that I had two phones? No. Were you aware that I had a $2 million life insurance policy? Well, I knew of a life insurance policy on you. I didn't know the amount. Lori and Tylee's interview at the Family Advocacy Center. We turn to that now. Oh, and then Alex was interviewed in a regular interview room. Who was monitoring those interviews. So apparently those interviews were being monitored. The Family Advocacy Center does not have, adjacent monitoring rooms. So there was some police department employee who was at their desk monitoring the interview. Nothing real shocking, earth-shattering. Who gave... So when those interviews were over, who gave you permission to drive us home? Me.
Right.
And
that was good.
The gallery, the gallery kind of chuckled at that. That was a crowd pleaser. And then for Alex, who gave you guys permission to drive Alex home? That was Moffat. Moffat would have made that decision. We didn't need anybody higher up. They weren't in custody. They weren't, they were free to go at any time if they call themselves an Uber or Lyft. But the police gave them a ride. And then she asked her, so you were asked several times by the prosecution, why didn't you just give the phone back? Were you aware that altercation didn't last very long, like maybe 2 minutes at most? So Lori is citing her testimony to the detective as evidence of the length of the altercation.
Right. And
Detective Inkland doesn't really see it coming, I think, because she's like, yeah, that's what you told me in the interview. Were you aware that JJ was in the front seat of the car alone? I don't remember what her answer was to that. Did you speak to the school? Yes, I spoke to JJ's school. I spoke to the director of the school and somebody else. All right. And then were you aware that we went to Burger King and we ordered chicken fries and 2 waters?
Oh, and Sprite. Don't forget the Sprite.
Oh, yeah. And a Sprite and 2 waters. And were you aware that a stressful situation can make somebody thirsty?
I actually had to Google that, adrenaline, and it says yes, adrenaline can make you thirsty. So
sure, and Detective Inkland kind of acknowledged that too a little bit, But if I'm Trina, I'm objecting. She's not, a physiologist or anything like that to be able to know the effects on a human body during stress and adrenaline.
Right.
But Detective Inkland did kind of acknowledge that, yeah, that can happen. And then when we went for the interview, did you offer me apple juice because adrenaline can make people thirsty? And Detective Inkland's like, no, I pretty much offer everybody something to drink. Right. And I let them go to the bathroom when they asked to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And she says, have you ever seen me not calm? Objection. No foundation. In our interactions, Have you ever seen me not calm? Same objection. Let's go to a sidebar.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to a sidebar, and spoiler alert, we learn later during the next break what was going on in this sidebar. The judge said to Lori, if you ask her this question, she is allowed to answer that for any time she has ever seen you, including in Idaho, including in your television interviews, including in police interrogations, including in court, in any of your hearings. She can answer that for any of that. So you're opening the door for her to be able to answer that, for a lot of things that you might not want in.
Mm-hmm.
He gave her some good sound legal advice right there.
Didn't think that was supposed to happen, but yep, he sure did.
Yeah.
I wonder how Trina's feeling about that. Like if she's sitting there saying, Judge, why are you doing that? Or if she's saying, yeah, I get it. You have to for appeals, or like
for the
like, what do you
record.
Yeah.
Well,
What do you think?
I think it's kind of a give and take, because I think she's letting him do that, and he's letting her answer a whole lot of leading questions without foundation.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Trina's probably like, okay, I won't say anything, Judge, as long as you let me continue to do.
I won't say anything if you don't say anything.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I gotcha.
All right. Were you aware that we ran outside without our shoes on?
Now, let me ask you this, because she kind of is this when she went down the path of, it's July?
Yes.
It's Arizona and it's hot. But it was like 8:00 in the morning. Is it still like 100 degrees?
In July, it is.
It is still hot. Okay.
It can, the thermometer may not dip below 90 at night in the summertime in Arizona.
Gotcha.
So it may not have been 100 degrees, but it could have very easily been 98. And if you're walking on concrete or asphalt, that concrete or asphalt could be 150 or 160.
I gotcha. Plus, I get that, and then I'm also thinking, who wants to show up, dropping your kid off in bare feet too? I mean,
right.
I get that she wanted to have some kind of food. I understood that. I'm not going to hold that against her.
I always understood, and people insinuated that the flip-flops were for the pool party, but it looks like maybe not. So did anybody look closely at that video? This is just a random question that popped into my head. Did anybody look closely at the video at Walgreens to see if she was barefoot when she went into Walgreens? I need to go back and look at that now.
Yeah, I don't recall that.
Side note, somebody take a side note. We need to go look at that.
Right? Okay.
Because they have like overhead footage of her walking in that front door to Walgreens. And you think as her foot comes forward, you would be able to likely tell if she has on shoes or not when she walks into Walgreens.
Right.
Here's Colleen. I'm surprised the pool party hasn't come in. It kind of did earlier, because one of the detectives said they kind of overheard a conversation about, we won't get invited to the pool party now because of all the commotion at the house. That was one of the early detectives or police officers that testified to that.
Okay.
Hey, Butterfly, welcome in. Good to see you in here. Micah, good to see you in here.
All right, I have it queued up. Continue on. Let me just see if I can. She's at the counter.
Okay. So they had the sidebar. She decided not to open the door. Did you see me run outside without my shoes? And I needed to get some at Walgreens. Were you aware I needed to get some at Walgreens? How hot was it on July 11th, 2019? Inkland says, it was warm. And Lori says, in the hundreds? Inkland says, it's July in Arizona. It was warm. She's giving her the snark right back.
Right.
Then they drove back to the house. Were we cooperative? Did we answer all the questions? Did we give Charles his phone when you asked? Yes, in all of my interactions with you during when I interviewed you, you were cooperative, which is really all she can testify to. She said were we cooperative with all of the police? And she said, well, I can only tell you how cooperative you were with me. Was Tylee cooperative? Was I? Yes.
Right.
Did you find it yet?
It's inconclusive. I saw it, and actually, I've got closed captioning over it, and she walks so fast it's really hard to see.
Okay.
So I'd say
Hang it.
inconclusive. I could text it to you if you want to pull it up. Do you want to pull it up or no?
No, we're good.
Not worth it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just a random thought, but
Yeah.
so a lot goes to the resolution of those security cameras, right? Like if you have a really low resolution security cameras, it can be a detriment to proving a case. If you have a really high resolution ones, it can be an assistance. It can aid in that.
Right. Let's see.
So then we go to redirect at 10:46 a.m. Did anything about, and I think there may have been a question or two before this that didn't strike me as interesting, but did anything about Lori's behavior or demeanor stand out to you? Quote unquote, her demeanor seemed odd based on what was going on at the house that day. Her demeanor seemed odd based on what was going on at the house that day. Had you known all of the facts of the case, would you have... Wait.
All right.
I can't tell what that note is. There. All right, we got to skip that note. My handwriting didn't help me on that one. Tylee did not look panicked or overwhelmed. The reason that we did the interview the way we did was because it changed from a death notification to an interview of witnesses. We had questions about the 911 call timing with the incident and when Lori returned, and the timing of the executing the search warrant. So Trina asked her something about, do you give people a specific time to come back after... Trevor, thank you very much. Thank you,
for
Trevor.
that. That's really, yeah, that's... Love your support. Thank you for that.
Yeah, justice for Charles. We got these new bracelets today that say justice for Tylee, JJ, and Charles.
Oh, cool. Well, there we go.
Can you see that?
Nice.
Kay actually brought those in today.
I like that. Yeah. Very nice.
So then Trina asked her something about, do you tell people a specific time to come back? Because I think Lori said that you told us to come back after we picked up JJ from school. And Detective Inkland here, for some reason, Trina wants to know that no, we never tell people a specific time to come back. We give them vague generalities about how long we think the search warrant will take to execute. Do you often offer drinks? Let them go to the bathroom? Yes. Did you know that Charles and Lori argued over the phone before Tylee was there? Okay, so now we're getting into specifics about what happened inside the house that day. So before Tylee was there, and by there she's saying in the middle of the conflict, the argument that went on between Charles and Lori. Did you know they argued over the phone? Yes. Oh, they argued about the phone, not over the phone. Like they're talking on the phone, arguing. No, they were arguing about the phone in the house before Tylee ever comes out of her bedroom with the bat. She has a couple questions about that, just establishing the fact that there was conflict and an argument going on before Tylee ever came out of the bedroom. Not sure what the point of that is. Did you, this is important to me, did you understand all the facts of the case? No, of course they didn't at that point in time. If you had known all the facts of the case, would you have interviewed Lori differently? Would you have asked to see her phone? Would you have asked for her phone? Would you have asked for Charles' phone? Yes, 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 yes. So my question is, what do we think? on the outside looking in, do we think that Detective Inkland was curious enough about a murder scene, or do we think she could have been more curious and dove a little deeper, looked at those text messages that Lori claimed were threatening text messages from Charles, looked at their phone? I mean, we have a dead person. We have somebody who admits they were in the house when the person was shot to death. And at that point in time, they don't take her phone. They don't take Charles' phone. I mean, Tylee's phone. They don't take Alex's phone until later when they get search warrants for them.
Yeah, I think it's another case of them just going with Alex admitted it, and that's it. They didn't really expand that investigation like I think they should have, meaning swabbing for gun residue on all three of their hands. Because how do we know, like, even though somebody admits it, how do we know that they're just not taking the fall? I don't know. It seemed like I wasn't.
There are three people that were present at the scene of the crime that could have pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
And then they could have all conspired together to have one person take the fall for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying that's what could have happened, and a police officer's mind should be open to all of those possibilities.
Right. Because what if Tylee did it and she's 16 and Alex is like, hey, you know what? I'm uncle. I'll take the fall for you. Don't worry about it. I got you. Because I know how to deal with cops and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's so much that could have happened that we just don't know about because they just said they took Alex's word as law and that was it. They didn't go any further with that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't too happy with that. Would you have interviewed? Would you have followed up? Would you have asked for Lori's phone if she had known all the facts? If you had known all the facts, yes, she would have asked Lori about the time gap if she had known about it.
Right.
Why didn't they do a follow up? Why, once they found out, why didn't they do a follow up? I don't know. That was a little. Again, it's like that didn't quite sit too well with me, but it is what it is. We are where we are.
Yeah. We have questions, and I don't know that they'll ever be answered.
Yeah, I mean, we can sit here and play the woulda shoulda game, armchair quarterback, all that all night long. But
but the problem I have with that is it seems to be an epidemic now among law enforcement agencies not conducting investigations thoroughly and properly, and that leading to us not sure we're getting justice.
That is true.
Delphi, Canton, this case, I can probably name 3 or 4 if I think about it, 3 or 4 others if I think about it, but those are the big ones off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Those are the high profile ones for sure.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. This is getting past me. No, come back. Where'd it go? Boom.
Okay.
I thought you were in contempt of court if you ignored a subpoena. You are, but Lori's subpoenas are not being served properly. She is ignoring the rules of procedure in preparing and serving these subpoenas. And it's becoming a problem for her. It has become a problem for her. The judge said, you're out of time to do it right in this trial. Maybe you'll get it better in the next one.
Yep.
Did you understand the facts of the case? Okay, we already went through that. Would you have taken Charles' phone? Okay, jury questions are next. So they have a little sidebar to discuss the jury questions. There are 4 of them that are red, and I think 1 that's not. Was the rental car searched? No. Why not? Why not? The victim, the defendant rented it for the victim, and the 4 people that survived that all climbed into that after the incident and drove off in it and drove back in it. Like,
why wasn't that? Yeah. I just keep going back to, because they didn't know that she would be the defendant, right? They didn't know that. So everything was geared towards Alex, and yet Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Well,
so many questions. So many questions.
I've been reading Sherlock Holmes since I knew how to read, and other detective novels too, and detective series. And hold on, let me start this real quick. Boom. All right. The one of the very first rules of investigating is you never rule anybody out. Everybody is a suspect from minute one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, everybody is a suspect from minute one. You don't rule people out and say, well, we shouldn't search their car because we don't think they're going to be a defendant someday. No,
Yeah.
everybody's a suspect. Stop. Everybody freeze.
Right.
You are all at the scene of the crime. We need to collect all the evidence we can from you, and we're going to sort through it, and we'll figure out if we can rule you out, or if we can't rule you out, we'll continue investigating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's
And guess what? You don't have to be at the scene of the crime to be guilty of
true.
conspiring. So
True.
then there's
Yeah.
that, and she
Right.
was at the scene. Yeah. So uh, the more we dig into this, the more it's like, yeah.
I've got some help with that. I've got some help with starring questions now. I
Oh,
appreciate
good.
that.
Good.
Second question: Were Lori and Tylee? So Lori and Tylee were taken to the Family Advocacy Center, but they were interviewed as witnesses. Were they victims or witnesses? And basically, how she answered that was they are witnesses, but with access to victims' services. So they were
Mhm.
introduced to some victims advocacy people that could help them as victims, but they were interviewed as witnesses. Were they informed that? Oh no! Before that, did Lori express concern about Tylee being interviewed that day? No, she did not. And then were they advised that they were going to be recorded for their interviews? And she says, no, there is no expectation of privacy in a police station. I kind of have a problem with that with a minor. I have a little problem with that.
Yeah. And yet she was being monitored. That we found out she was being monitored because she was a minor. But we talked about that yesterday. I do have a problem with that as well. I agree. I think I think that victim advocate should have been in that room, if nothing else, just to make her feel comfortable. I don't have a gun. She may have a gun. She's going to be asking the questions, but I'm just here just to make sure you're cool.
Right. Yes. And also, to video record a minor without their permission or their parents' permission seems like a sticky legal issue to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
I know it's a police station. I know you're doing an interview, but you are video recording them, which takes it another step beyond just an interview.
Yeah. Now, before the stream started today, or before the trial started, we showed Lori's interview and then Tylee's interview. And you've seen both of them, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So people in chat were saying, or I guess maybe guessing or saying that Tylee seemed coached and that she may have been on her meds to calm her down so that she wasn't having a panic attack. Because Lori said that her panic attack meds were in the house. So what do you think after seeing that and knowing now more, knowing what you know now, do you think maybe Tylee was on some kind of medication to make her seem calmer and be able to answer the questions?
We never heard a resolution to that. All we heard was that Lori asked for somebody to go in and get the meds for them. They couldn't go in like as civilians because the scene was closed. The police couldn't go in yet because they didn't have a search warrant. But once that search warrant was open, did one of the officers go in there and get her meds? I mean, I don't know. When they came back from Alex's house later in the afternoon, like around 4 o'clock, I think 3:30, 4 o'clock, they came back to the house. They gave the police Charles's phone. At that point in time, did they get the meds? Oh, but this interview was before that, right?
It was like at 9:30. Yeah, it was like at 9:30.
So no, she couldn't have got her meds. No.
Yeah. Unless that
Unle-
was Lori telling another lie and,
Right. Right. Did Lori have some of her meds in her purse or something that she could have given her some,
yeah.
emergency meds?
Yeah.
If her panic attacks are that bad, then I would think you would carry some emergency meds on your person somewhere.
Right. Because if she is, okay, so on one hand, Lori's, complaining about, Tylee needs her panic attack meds. But then here on the other hand, she's saying, she's being interviewed. Tylee looked pretty calm to me, right? She didn't look like she was
No.
fidgety. She wasn't like stumbling. She was very smooth and calm and this and that. I mean, she didn't stumble over a single word. She didn't turn red. She wasn't fidgety, so I don't know. Which is it, Lori? Was she subjective to panic attacks, or did she have meds where she wasn't going to have a panic attack? I don't know.
That's true. That's true. They couldn't take the meds out because it's potential evidence. Yeah. All right. So we're getting ready to go into Ariel Werther. That's how he pronounced it, right? Ariel. Not Ariel. Not Ariel.
Yeah.
Not the
Ariel.
Little Mermaid. And he had a deep voice too. There was just no mistaking that guy.
He did. He was Batman. Everybody's like, Batman, Batman. They're like, well, which Batman?
Yeah, there's like 7 Batmans at least.
Yeah, I've lost track. It's like 007s.
So they call.
Sorry.
They call him. No, you're fine. They call Ariel Werther, Chandler PD. Since 2011, he's never worked for another police department in his life. But then all of a sudden, the jury is dismissed. Judge is like, all right, I'm going to release the jury for just a little quick stretch break, is what he said. They do it. So what they do is some housekeeping. So he talks about out loud what was said in the sidebars for the record. So the court reporter can make a record of what happened in the sidebars. What he advised Lori of about that opening the door. If she asked Inkland if she ever saw her not calm. And then something about asking a detective about demeanor. I didn't catch what that was about.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of it. This is what I have. As a detective, does your subconscious mind use a witness demeanor as any type of evidence?
Oh, that was a juror question. That's kind of a weird question. It's oddly worded.
As soon as I heard subconscious mind, I'm like, wait a minute, what? What? You're talking like, is it like a mind meld now? Or are we going?
If it's my subconscious mind, how would I know? How would I even be aware of that?
That one was not asked.
No, that was not asked.
That was not asked. Yeah. And then I missed when I had, did Tylee ask for a lawyer? Right. That one wasn't asked. And then there was a question. I missed it because the judge was like, he was worse than Lori. He was like flying through the questions. I didn't get the last one.
He was. And it was the rest of the questions we went through earlier. So we don't need to go back over through them again. He was just clarifying for the record what they were and which ones were asked and which ones wasn't. And it was just that I think the subconscious mind was the only one that wasn't asked.
Yeah. Miss Shorty, vibe check.
Yeah, right.
Was that juror 15? Yep.
And then, so back to,
Detective Werther, right?
Yes, Ariel Werther, talking about the cell phone expertise, subject matter expert, he called himself, after 2 40-hour classes. So I have some questions about that.
Yeah. More than what we've taken, I suppose. So does that make you an expert?
That makes me less than an expert.
Yeah.
But I'm an expert armchair expert. An expert armchair expert. I just made up a new title.
Armchair expert. Right.
40-hour class on cell phone technologies and GPS mapping and tracking technology. Then in 2023, he took another one. that went a little deeper into it. And after those 2 40-hour classes, he became a quote unquote subject matter expert. On that day, in July 11th of 2019, he went out to the scene and shadowed Detective Coons. But then on July 12th, he actually started investigating the digital side of this, the technology side of this. First, he reached out to Lori to get JJ's information for the record. Found out that Charles had been staying at the True Hilton, Samtown, wherever that is. I can show you where that is, actually. And also found out that Lori had Charles's wallet and his room key to the True Hilton. That's interesting information.
So where do you think, people were asking, where do you think that came from? His car or his body?
Yeah. Ooh. So the way that I have my wallet now is I rarely carry it on my person, except when I'm like going to a restaurant, to get food. But if I'm like traveling from the hotel to a house, from my Airbnb to court, it goes in the console in the car that I'm driving.
Interesting.
But I lock my door. I lock my car, guys. So don't try anything.
Whenever I go out the door, I make sure my wallet is in one pocket, and my keys are in another, and my cell phone is in third. And if I don't have those three, I don't go anywhere. And they are always, always, always on my person. I am never, ever without those three things.
Yeah.
Because I figure I can do anything as long as I have those things. Any situation I'm in, I can get myself out of as long as I have transportation, wallet, communication.
Right. That's how I walk out the door. But then when I get to the car, they all get redistributed into the car. The phone gets plugged into the port in the car, so I can use my navigation. The wallet goes into the console, and the key goes into the bottom of the console.
Gotcha. Yeah, Kasha.
So
phone, wallet, keys. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The three necessities of life these days.
Yeah. So you think, well, not you, I'm saying, well, no, you do. You think that for you, it would be Charles's wallet would be in his car, versus some people were saying, did she pull it off of his dead body, or was it in the car in his console or whatever?
If it was me, I get there, they have all been redistributed in and around the console. I jump out, I go to get JJ, I knock on the door, I say, hey, come on, JJ, let's go to school. And then she's like, I wonder how he gets sucked into he had to go to the bathroom, right?
JJ
Charles. Wait. So this is inside information.
Yeah, what's this?
I can't reveal my source.
Okay.
But part of the autopsy report was that Charles's bladder was completely empty.
Okay.
So the possibility exists that he had to come into the house to go to the bathroom. He needed to go to the bathroom after that drive up from the hotel. Maybe he had coffee at the hotel. Maybe he had water, whatever it was. So if that's a situation, then you're just not knocking on the door and saying, come on, JJ, let's go. You're like, hey, I got to use the restroom. And then you get sucked into that conspiracy, if it was a conspiracy.
Right. Now, truth be told, after you pass, you do vacate. So
true. Right. That could have been it. Yes. Did they test his hands for urine content? Yeah. Probably not. They didn't test a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. I forgot about that part of it.
Yep.
So there goes that theory.
Sorry, there'll be another one. I really want to talk to you as we wrap up and we go through today. I want to talk to you about some theories I've been kicking around as well. So.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And I had a chat with somebody this morning while we were sitting on the steps about some of these theories, and she got me thinking about some other theories, and I'm hoping I can have her on the channel at some point in the near future. And if so, it's going to be a very interesting guest because she also has close ties to the case.
Okay.
And knows a lot about Lori.
Okay, cool.
Lori had Charles' wallet and room key. When did the 911 call happen? It happened at 8:36 a.m., which is funny because later on we hear from from him that the 911 call happened at 8:35, I believe. But I mean, what's 1 minute between friends?
Yeah, he said 8:30. I noted that too. He said 8:35 and 54 seconds. So.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
round up to 8:36. Gotcha.
I caught that too. I'm like, wait, 8:36, and he said 8:35, but then he said 54 seconds. So
Okay.
yeah, what's 6 seconds between? Yeah.
Right. Police arrive between 8:41 to 8:42. At 8:48, Lori arrives back at the house. So they concluded that the murder had to have happened before the 911 call and the trip to Burger King and the trip to Walgreens and the trip to the school.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's not likely that she made that trip in 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's 7 miles to the school and 7 miles back. So that's 14 miles. So even if you're going 60 miles an hour, you're not gonna do it in 12 minutes.
And you're not going to do 60 miles an hour in Chandler on those roads. You're going to do half of that at best.
Yeah, especially at 8:15, 8 o'clock, 8:15. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he knew that she was driving a red Kia Sorento. So he started his investigation just with plain logic, which I like a lot. He's like, I'm going to go to the closest Burger King and I'm going to see if they have any video during that time period. And guess what? Lo and behold. So this is July 12th. He's doing his investigation. So he goes from shadowing Coons on the 11th to the actual investigation on the 12th. He goes to the closest Burger King and he's like, whoa, there she is. There's a red Kia Sorento. There's her license plate on the one camera. She's there. I think she was there at 8:54 a.m. if I remember right. 8:54 or 8:57. Pretty sure it was 8:54, but either way. Well, it probably took her 3 minutes to get through the drive-through, so it's probably 8:54 through 8:57.
7:54. She's at the drive-through.
Oh yeah, 7, not 8. Yeah, 7:54. Yeah, she was back at the house by 8:48.
Right.
7:54.
Right.
He did a verification of the time date stamp on the video, which is a pretty big deal to me because some detectives don't get this right. He compared like the real time that you have on your phone to the time date stamp on the video camera from Burger King and found that they did coincide, that the time date stamp was accurate on the video, on the Burger King video. He said that is a quote unquote best practice. And we saw something like in Delphi with the Hoosier Harvest Store video that they did not do that. They didn't find out till later that the time date stamp on the Hoosier Harvest Store video was off by like something like 42 minutes. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen that, but it was off. And they didn't do a quote unquote best practice. And once again, why police departments are not utilizing best practices when this is a guy who's had 2 40-hour classes and he knows what a best practice is and how to use it. It's not rocket science.
Right.
Here is an interesting question to me, and I'll be interested to see what you wrote down. What time did you see Lori on that Burger King video? And he says, I thought he said, I want to say it was 7:20 something. And Trina goes, 7:54? And he goes, yeah, 7:54. I'm like, wait a second. That's way leading.
That's way leading. Yeah.
Leading.
I had the same reaction and I wrote down the exact same thing. And I was, I don't know if shocked is the right word, but I was definitely like, wait a minute. You weren't even, and he looked at his report before he came in, as Lori says, under cross. I know I'm jumping ahead, but he threw out a lot of numbers, so I'm willing to give him, a mulligan for that. But Trina's like, well, wasn't it 7:54? He's like, yes, this is correct. Yeah. That, but that was like his only drop pass, I thought, right? Or drop.
Okay, but that's fine. If he gets that one wrong, that's fine. There's a way to correct that, and it's not to say, oh, don't you mean 7:54? Oh yeah, that's what I meant. That's not how it works. It should work in court.
I know that's true.
It's so leading. Would it help? You say, would it help refresh your memory to look at your report? So you
Yep.
don't remember the exact time. Would it help refresh your memory to look at your report? Then he looks at his report and then he's like, okay, yeah, I remember. He closes the report and she says, okay, what time was it that you saw Lori on that video? 7:54. That's the correct way to do it. That takes an extra 30 seconds to a minute. But it's so important. Did you see the picture that I posted on my Twitter to start the day on my X account?
I think I did, but let me go check again. Let me refresh my memory.
It's a picture of the Maricopa County Superior Court South Tower outside, and there is big letters across the top of it, and it says, "The first duty of society is justice."
Yep.
And this isn't, I mean, when you take shortcuts like that, it's hard to see on that. There, the letters are up at the top, at the top of the 1, 2, 3 story little thing there on the front. The first duty of society is justice. Yeah, right there where the mouse is. And I'm not saying injustice is going to be served here one way or the other, and it's not going to hinge on this one point. But there's a right way and a wrong way to do things, and she knows the right way and the wrong way to refresh a witness's memory. You don't just blurt out what the answer is. You don't.
Yeah. Well, as you've said, and our chat has said, she has been leading a lot and often. But if Lori's not objecting, then what can be done?
Right. Oh, yeah. And she's taking advantage of it. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
Not this blatant, not that bold.
Yeah.
And yes, because so that was another conversation I had on the steps this morning. If Lori had a real attorney representing her instead of insisting on going pro per in this, there would have been so many objections by her attorney at this point that maybe they would be on the right path to proper conduct in court.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure after the first day, or maybe Trina would have even started to get
right.
Out of sloppy.
Yeah,
I don't know if sloppy is the right word, but yeah, she would have reined it in a lot. Carolina saying hello.
Hello, Carolina.
Hey, Mona's bringing in Monica Cementili, Judge Cohen, cross-pollinating some trials there.
All right. So let's see. Kia Sorrento, 754. Yes, it was 754. I was told that Lori had left right after Charles was shot. And because of that didn't jive with the timeline of where she had to drive, we, quote unquote, we began to have concerns. That's what I have written down. He said, we began to have concerns. Then he met Lori at the Four Peaks house to get the key card. He identifies Lori in court. Trina says, can you identify the woman that gave you that key card? Yes, it's Lori in court. And then he and Moffat go to the True Hilton and they find Charles' belongings. They find a laptop and a briefcase or suitcase and a bunch of other stuff. And then he, for some reason, and I'm not sure how he came to the understanding that she had went to a CVS. Like, did she tell somebody that she had gone to a drugstore and they assumed it was a CVS? Did she mislead them and say that she went to a CVS when she had gone to a Walgreens? But anyway, he drives to all 7 CVS locations and checks out their video footage and does not find her at any of them. But then he does get Charles's phone data location, his GPS location, and he figured out that it wasn't a CVS, it was a Walgreens based on the GPS data. So then he began to compile the location data from Charles's GPS data from his phone, but also they got search warrants for Alex's phone and Lori's 2 phones. And so they began to put the cell tower ping data together for those phones. Now the cell tower data he went over, there is a huge cloud, and I mean like mile and a half, sometimes wide, of the potential area that a phone can be to ping off of a cell phone tower and off of a certain face of a cell phone tower. So he had representations for those on the map that were big clouds. They're not as accurate or precise as GPS data, GPS geolocation data from an actual cell phone like Charles's phone. So Charles's phone had the GPS location data turned on, so he was able to get actual detailed locations like latitude and longitude with very little uncertainty of where his car was at a certain time. However, Lori's and Alex's phones had a lot more uncertainty as to precise location. So their locations were not as precise, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Great explanation.
And then the state goes to enter exhibit 209. There's no objection. So it's entered, but it's not published yet because we all get to go to break at 12:05.
I have 2 things I want to put up before we move to lunch, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So we heard whispering after the Walgreens CD or DVD was put into evidence. We heard whispering, "This is Walgreens," and it was like a question. So I think that was probably Lori, because I know Trina knew what was being put into evidence. So we heard, "This is Walgreens," and it seemed like it was a question. Did you at all catch that? I mean, it was a whisper,
Nope.
so I don't expect you. Yeah,
Nope.
yeah. Then the question of this so far of today was 248 votes. Do you like the tie? So 75% of chat liked the tie, 24% did not like the tie. Where did you stand with Mr. Werther's tie?
I did not get an up close look at it.
Okay.
So
Right.
I must remain uncommitted.
Fair enough. Yes, chat went off a little sideways there. People were more concerned about the tie, and some people were like, "Are you guys that bored that you're talking about this tie and not listening to his testimony?" And I mean, some of his testimony was a little dry. Some of it was very, Kikaru hated the tie. So anyway, had to ask you where did you stand with the tie? So
yeah,
no. Comment.
Nan, good night, Nan. Have a good night. Catch the rest of it on replay.
Oh, okay, yeah. Good night, Nan. Thank you again for your eyeballs and your support.
I'm going to have to go back and look at the tie now. Dang it.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of people were saying it's like 20 years ago. Curtains. It was kind of flowery. It was kind of flowery, or like a sofa. Whatever sofa cloth sofa. It was a little flowery. Not my cup of tea. I could care less about it, but it's not something I would wear. Let me put it that way. So I didn't hate it, but
a spring tie. Well, it is spring. It's spring in the desert.
Yeah. Spring tie, no tie commitment. Someone described it, Kikaru. Someone described it as a Walmart bedspread. Yeah, 20 years ago. Abstract art throwing tie. So
that is an interesting choice when you're going to be an expert witness and you're going to go on the stand. Mm-hmm. Like, I would totally dress conservative. Like, I would not have anything that like gets people's attention at all. So the fact that this is interesting to me.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. No matter what, people are going to say what they're going to say because they're looking at you for an hour, 2 hours. You know, they're going to notice your appearance, the way you speak, your, whatever it is about you, they're going to talk about. hopefully in a good way. There you go. Ashley furniture fabric from 20 years ago.
Well, hopefully it's more flame retardant than that.
Right.
Okay. So lunch break. We come back from lunch break. The judge says the prosecution has told me that they have witness issues. Detective Nathan Duncan is ill. He's been ill the last 2 days. He did show up today. He did come into the courthouse. He gave it the old college try, but apparently it didn't go well. But what's funny is if he has like a bug or something, he actually went into the family room. So the family room is off to our right as you're looking back to the courtroom from where we're seated. And he went in there a couple of times. And if he's got a bug, then all of a sudden, who else is going to have that bug?
Yeah.
Why are you interacting with people if you have a bug? Stay home from work, people.
Right. 2 days. Well, he was home yesterday, right? He was not there yesterday.
Correct.
He was ill and stayed home, but today he was in. Yeah.
Yes. He tried it.
He tried.
All Eyes, welcome in. Hey, All Eyes, haven't seen you in a while.
Gen 405 given a 1999 super sticker. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. So we heard the jury coming in, dong, 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 like their boots, literally boots on the ground. It was like dong, dong, dong. And then I heard, I'm sure you probably didn't hear this, or maybe you did. I heard somebody, I think it was the juror, somebody was saying these seats are really close together. And then they kind of got drowned out. So does it sound loud to you, or is it just the microphone's picking it up and it sounds loud to us?
It sounds loud to you, but that would have probably been somebody in the gallery, not somebody. I mean, the jury already knows how their seats are.
Okay.
I mean, if they were going to comment about that, they would have commented about that like on day 1 or 2.
Okay. Gotcha.
So that's somebody in the gallery. We did have a lot of new faces today. I think we even had some new faces after lunch.
Gotcha.
And of course, the court changed the rule, or the court security changed the rules again. We've had it organized so well. Like from day 1, we had it organized. We're going to sit in these seats. This is so row 1 and row 2. So this is in the holding area outside of the courtroom. Row 1 and row 2 is the media. That's dedicated to the media. Row 3 is the first row of people, first come, first serve, as we stood in line outside of the courthouse waiting to get in. Row 4 is the next 10 people. So that's 20 seats. There's 25 more after that. So those people go start lining up against the wall in order. And it was working out just fine. And for some reason, they had a big meeting today and they said, well, it's come from the, okay. So here's the important part of that is once you get that seat in the morning, that was supposed to be your seat for the day. Like you're in that seat for the rest of the day. There's no arguing about it. There's no fighting over it. There's no like trying to rework the line order. You're in that seat for the rest of the day. And it was working out fine. Nobody was complaining. Nobody was fighting. I mean, there were a couple of people that came in new that didn't understand the rules. They kind of bitched about it a little bit when they didn't get in either where they thought they were going to get in or at all. I suppose yesterday there were a few people turned away that weren't happy about it. So apparently all the people in security got together today and they're like, we're going to change everything up. So there's no saving your seat. You don't get the same seat after breaks. So we're going back to Delphi now. We're going back to freaking Delphi disorder.
Wow. And, after each break or just the lunch break?
He said each break. Like you have to clear out. You have to clear out all of your stuff every break. And you don't get your seat back.
Wow.
And yeah,
that's not cool.
no, it's not. We had a plan. We executed the plan and it was working just fine. And I said that to him. I'm like, that's not the way we've been doing it. And he's like, well, people have been complaining and there's been like a little bit of bickering and stuff. And I'm like, you have no idea the amount of bickering that can go on from this dude. And you're about to cause some more.
Wow.
And then before the very last afternoon session, he said, okay, we're completely changing it up now. And the media is still going to be on this end. So it's like a 4-court floor. So there's 5A or 5A, 5B, 5C, 5D. We're in 5D, and and our seats were right outside of 5D. He said, "No, you're going to go sit in the seats that are on the opposite end of the courthouse on 5A and 5B and wait to get called in here. And the very first person that comes in sits in this particular seat at the southwest corner of the seats, and you just fill in behind that."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with, as long as you know what the first seat is and what all the seats that fill in after that are, I'm okay with that. And that's like 40 seats. And that's like almost all the public seats. There's only like 5 seats after that. So once those seats fill up, people know there's only 5 more and no more after that. But just the fact that you have to rearrange for new seats every single break is just ridiculous. That's asinine.
I agree. I could maybe see after lunch, but not morning. And then he didn't have an afternoon, right? But I think, or if he did, he well, whatever. I mean, I could see maybe. I said maybe for the lunch break, but even then, yeah.
And honestly, there's not a bad seat in the gallery. There's not. There's like 6 monitors where you can see all the evidence. None of the seats can see the witness really well, because there's a whole bunch of monitors on the desks in between you and the witness. So being closer or further away doesn't change any of that. Like, there's no bad seats in the 45 seats. So
or closer to the jury, closer to Lori,
right.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah. They need an usher with a vest and a flashlight. Zero says.
That's me. That's me. I'll tell people where to go.
That's funny.
All right. So we got through the prosecution has witnesses issues. Duncan is ill, can't testify today. Judge says, well, we may end early. Then we get back to the direct examination of Detective Werther. He reviewed the data, the Latin long from the 3 cell phone extractions and Charles's phone. No, the Latin long was only for Charles's phone. The others were the cell tower pings and the faces. And here we get to talking about precision and accuracy, which is my thing. I know a thing or two about precision and accuracy, and I don't think he did a great job of explaining it to the jury. I could have done a better job.
Oh, okay.
So she says, what is precision? And he says, precision is how precise something is.
I actually missed that. I missed that one. I think I kind of just glazed over maybe at certain points of his testimony. I was just like, but yeah, I totally missed that. That's a good one.
So picture a bullseye, and you're like shooting arrows at a bullseye or shooting a gun at a bullseye. Let's say gun, because you can be probably more precise with a gun. So you have a cluster of 6 shots on that bullseye that are really close together, but they're far off in one corner of the bullseye. So those are precise. Those are all hitting to a very close proximity of each other, but they're not accurate because they're not close to the center of the bullseye. And then say you have 6 shots on that same bullseye and they're scattered kind of around the bullseye, but they're spread out a little bit. So those are a little more accurate, but they're not precise because they're not close to each other.
Right.
And then picture a cluster of 6 shots that are all right around the bullseye. Those are precise and accurate. That's like the best way to understand precision versus accuracy.
Yeah, that's nice. That's good. Yeah.
All right. And then he talks about the antenna face for the cell towers. The center of that antenna face is the azimuth. Doesn't mean much to me or you or the jury. I know what an azimuth is. When you fly an airplane, the azimuth is due north. But on those big shapes that he put on the map, he said you can't tell exactly where inside of those shapes the phone was. All it tells you is what shape it pinged off of. So, which is interesting to me because I've seen in cell tower triangulation before, a cell phone can ping off of like up to 2 or 3 towers. And so what you do is you do a triangulation, you overlap those circles, and where those circles overlap is a more precise location of that phone. But it didn't look to me like he was doing any overlapping of multiple bounces off of multiple towers or multiple pings off of multiple towers.
Right. No, it was just like a big green blob, big blue blob. I think, right? Charles's phone was green, or was that Lori's phone was green? Whatever it was. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. There was no. We've seen that before as well. Yeah, where you have the overlapping circles, and yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yep. All right.
I did find. I'm sorry. I was going to say I did find that within the big blob, I think Alex's phone didn't move a lot, but Lori's phone did ping a lot, which was actually Charles's phone. So I think that's my takeaway from all of this, was that Lori had Charles's phone and she was traveling all over the place.
Well, Charles's phone was those little red dots that he put on there.
Okay.
Lori's phone was the different one.
Okay.
Lori,
one of the phones was traveling all over, and I'm assuming that was Charles, right? That's the whole point.
Yes.
Is that they said that she took Charles's phone. Okay.
And there were precise. So Charles's phone and Lori's phone were 2 different symbols on the map. Charles's phone was the little red dots because he had GPS location, which is highly accurate. That's within probably 15, 20 feet of where the actual car or phone was. But it also was with her phone because she had his phone and her phone at the same time. So all we're looking for there is that the location of the GPS location of his phone that was accurate is within that big blob. That's the location of her phone.
Right.
But yes, Alex's phone did not move after she left until she came back. And then they went down together to Alex's house down in Santan Valley. Uh-oh. Hold on.
What's up?
Oh, my YouTube page crashed. But just like within the browser, it just goes every once in a while. It goes, oh snap, and then it makes me reload it. I don't understand. It's probably a Chrome thing. You don't use Chrome, so you wouldn't understand.
I do not, although I am using it for StreamYard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
The sacrifices we make.
Yeah, well, Safari doesn't accept StreamYard, or StreamYard doesn't accept Safari, so we use Chrome for StreamYard.
Gotcha. Okay. So they talk about the antenna face. We can't tell within shape where the phone is without corroborating data. So that's corroborating data is like verifying through body-worn camera when Lori showed back up on site, and yes, that matches. That matches where we think her phone was, or the security cameras at Burger King or Walgreens, and we saw Charles's phone there. That's corroborating data. But then he pulls up and he calls it Google Earth Pro. Like she kept insisting that it's a PowerPoint presentation, but he said it's Google Earth Pro, and you can do like a time lapse on Google Earth Pro. And I thought that was really cool. And I can tell he spent a lot of time preparing this presentation and preparing this Google Earth Pro, like animated version of where Charles's cell phone pings were. And on July 10th, we can see that he got to the True Hilton, and then he kind of drove around the block. He was probably looking for food. Maybe he was looking for something to, gifts for Tylee or JJ, probably JJ more than Tylee. But either way, he just kind of drove around the block there. But it went really fast. Like somebody clicked a button somewhere and went bloop, 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 back to the True Hill Inn. And he goes, I think we may need to find a different machine.
Oh, that was that. Okay, that's right. That was then.
Because I don't think he expected the bloop, bloop, bloops to go that fast. I think he expected it to be like do, 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 back to the True Hilton Inn. And that went that way for the entire thing. And they just kind of like went with it. But I don't think the presentation was to the quality that he wanted. And personally, I think she should have given him control of Google Earth Pro and when to begin the animation and when to stop it and explain it.
Right.
So he was having to tell somebody else, okay, go ahead to the next one, go ahead to the next one, go ahead to the next one. And when he said, go ahead to the next one to this one, it went bloop, 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 bloop. He's like, whoa, I think we may need a different machine. No, just give him control of it, dude. He's the one that prepared it. He knows how to operate it.
Yep.
I feel bad for him because I know that he spent a lot of time on that. I know that he did.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then at some point in time, 8:06 a.m., I think, there was a call from Alex to Lori. From 7:52 to 7:56, Charles's phone is near the Burger King. And Lori's phone was within that big blob of coincident coverage. Then there were that 8:06 phone call, Alex to Lori. Then at 8:16, Charles's phone was at the Walgreens, and they talked about two different Walgreens within like a minute or two of each other. And we all know that there are Walgreens within like a minute or two of each other. And I'm wondering if she didn't go into one Walgreens and then be like, oh, there's no flip-flops in here that fit me or that I like, so let's go to the next Walgreens. And that's where she actually went in the store. I can't remember the name of the roads. I saw them, but I didn't write them down. But I'm pretty sure she was at two different Walgreens within a couple minutes of each other. At 8:33, she was at Charles's phone was at Lauren's Life Academy, which is where JJ goes to school. At 8:35, 2 minutes later, Alex calls 911, and at 8:49, Charles's phone is back at South Four Peaks house.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So if she left after he was shot and doesn't come back and then 911's not called for so many minutes, it's highly suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
This is on July 12th. This is the day after he's finding this information, I believe. No, maybe not, because they had to serve a search warrant. So I actually didn't catch the date of his report. Did you catch that? Like when he found all of this information? Because they didn't serve search warrants on their phones the next day.
Unless it came up in cross. He reviewed. No, I didn't catch a date when this was. Yeah, no, he didn't. If he said it, I missed it. I know that he contacted her on the 12th, which was the day after. Contacted Lori, but that was it. Yeah, he didn't say when he reported when he made this presentation.
Right, and that's when he went to the nearest Burger King and got the video from the nearest Burger King, and then started looking at the location data of the extraction after that. But do we really know what time after that? Like, what was the date that he did this anyway? All right, so from 12:13 to 12:36. Charles's phone then goes to Santan Villages area. And then from 12:36 to 1:42, Charles's phone moves to 1658 East Shari Street in Santan, which is Alex's house. This was a shocker to me. So from 1:42 to 1:07, they're at Alex's house at 2:07. At 2:07, Lori returns a call to Detective Inkland, but she returned it to her desk phone. So I wonder if that's where Detective Inkland called her from. But at 2:18, people, Lori calls the Valley of the Sun mortuary. This is hours after her husband has been murdered. She's calling a mortuary.
But it's not her.
Are you sure?
Well, they said in the trial that she called. It was, but chat saying, no, 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 that was Chad that called. And then after the trial was over, we played that call that Chad calls in and he says, I'm the nephew and we want to have this person cremated and we want to have the remains shipped over to Louisiana.
That,
So
that,
was that a,
that wasn't what he testified today. It was one of the 4 phones that he had that he said called the mortuary.
okay.
I mean, now I'm going to have to go back and watch. There's another one we got to go back and watch. Y'all are making me go back and watch stuff. So
Yeah, we definitely we listened to it. It was definitely Chad. He called
Right.
this. He called the Valley of the Sun.
But was it the same call that we're talking about at 2:18
218.
that he was killed? Because
I don't know.
She would have had to call Chad and say,
Right.
Chad, it's done. Do your thing. I think maybe she just called the mortuary and said, hey, my husband is deceased. How do we make arrangements? And then maybe Chad called back later and said, okay, these are the exact arrangements we want. I'm not sure that the Chad call was this 2:18 p.m. call on that day.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Have you ever heard that call, Chad's call?
I have not. I have not.
Yeah. It's not long. It's like maybe 5 minutes or so. But yeah, he says that he's the nephew. He said somebody passed away. I'm his nephew, and we want to have him cremated and the remains sent to Louisiana. So
yeah, and that's what happened. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this phone call was from Lori's phone, and it was just preliminary, like, hey, what do we need to do? And then later on, Chad is the one that made the arrangements.
Right.
Whether it was a day later, 2 days later, whatever it was. That's it. That's just my theory, my speculation, because we didn't hear anything about Chad's phone at all today from this guy. We didn't hear anything about, and so here's a legal thing. If it had been from Chad's phone, do you think Trina would have entered that in as evidence? Like, here is Lori calling this other phone number. So she had 2 phones. We know she had 2 phones. We know he got search warrants for both of those phones. And we suspect probably that one of those phones was for talking to Chad exclusively, that she hid from Charles. So you would think that if that was the case, that this detective would have discovered that there's this other Idaho phone number or Utah phone number, wherever Chad was, that was contacting Lori's phone, or Lori was contacting his phone. You would think we would have heard about that today. Like if Trina could get in some evidence about Chad Daybell, you would think that we would hear it, and this would probably be a good foundation for it. Right here, the cell phone data.
Well, we heard it from East Idaho News, and I just dropped it in the chat. So the call was made just before 8 p.m. on July 11th. So Charles would have been shot and killed 12 hours earlier, according to these documents. So a transcript of the phone call to Valley of the Sun Mortuary and Cemetery was included in a Chandler police report. So apparently that call at 2:18 was Lori, or presumably Lori, on one of her phones. Then I guess she goes and calls Chad, and then he goes ahead and he calls the mortuary. So I guess that's how it worked. Yeah,
that's what I suspected.
Yeah, so he does call pretty quickly. It's not like it's he does call pretty quickly. I mean, all of it is just so sick. The more you uncover this onion, it's just. They are just terrible. They're just terrible people.
Yeah.
There's nothing redeeming about them, to be quite honest.
No.
So.
Okay. And then we see from 243 to 311, Chad's, damn it. You got me thinking Chad now. No, Charles's phone returns to the South Four Peaks house, and where it's surrendered to police.
Mm-hmm.
And we're ready for the cross-examination now. This should be interesting.
I have two things. So Lori turned around at that point, and the camera was on her, and she gave some paperwork to, I'm assuming, her counsel, and she kind of looked back. So do you remember that at all? Did you catch that?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
All right. Then some phone goes off and it's not the judge. It's, I think, his assistant or his clerk says, phone needs to be off or you will be asked to leave the courtroom.
No, that's somebody in the gallery, like somebody way back off to my left.
Yeah. Yeah. So who?
And somebody didn't mute their phone when they came into court, and it went off for a good like 10 seconds, which seems forever in a court where you're not supposed to have your phone on.
Especially
So
when it's quiet.
Yes.
Quiet. Yeah.
And his assistant, who is awesome, she gets up and she gives this look of righteous indignation, and she's like, if you don't turn your phones off, you're going to get thrown out of the court, or whatever it was she said.
Yeah. We figured it wasn't juror 15. We figured it was somebody in the gallery.
It was. I'm kind of scared of her. Like, I don't want to violate her policies.
Does she have dark hair? She's the one that walks when the jury has a question. That's her. Okay. Because
Yes.
one time she walked across. This is what we saw one time. She does one of these. She looked right at the camera. She walked across. It was brilliant.
That's funny.
I was like, yes. Yeah, she literally looked right at the camera as she walked across.
Yeah. And she's Judge Boreski's regular assistant. Like, she has been there in all of the pretrial hearings.
Right.
And she was there for jury selection. She was a boss in jury selection. So, they had that microphone that they had to pass around, and she would like grab that microphone and she would like almost run all the way down to the other end to give it to the next person in line to talk. She's awesome.
Yeah. She's fun. She seems like a fun character to hang out with.
Yeah. She came out right before we went in after lunch break. So at the end of lunch break, before we went in, and she goes, y'all, I hate to have to remind you of this, but when we have a sidebar and the white noise goes on, you may not be able to hear what we're saying, but we can hear everything you're saying. Like the lawyers can hear it. I can hear it. The judge can hear it. So when there's a sidebar and there's white noise, y'all need to be quiet. We don't want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Silence. It's like a library. Just be quiet. Just
Shh.
Exactly.
There was a lot of shushing today. All right. So valet of the mortuary call, and then we get to cross-examination. And then she goes into the report. Did you put in your report that there were daily texts from Charles to me of daily love and devotion? He said, I don't remember that.
Thank God.
Good for you.
Thank God.
And then she's like, did you put in a report that you came across texts of women that Charles was attempting to date? And he goes, yeah, I do remember that. Then he asks about Lawrence. She asked about Lawrence Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
No, Eliza, the jurors haven't asked about Tylee or JJ at all. I wonder if they're catching the past tense JJ was, Tylee was, that come out from time to time. I think Lori's even slipped up on that from time to time.
Yeah, she has. Yep.
So she asked about Lawrence Hughes a couple times under objection from the state. And then she asked about $1,000 payment that Charles made. And I'm like, I don't know what that has to do with. I don't know who Lawrence Hughes is. I don't think it's a chick that he was trying to date.
Well, she continues with a couple others where I'm jumping ahead, but I think she was trying to get that in, but we'll keep going until we get to there.
Right.
Get to that
both of those are objected to. And then Trina goes, I object to all of this line of questioning in the beginning here.
Mm-hmm.
And then did you only go through the location data? So were you tasked with only going through the location data, or did you go through other stuff? And he says, well, I was supposed to mostly go through the location data, but sometimes when you're a team, somebody will ask you to review something and see if you see something that's relevant to the case in what I'm looking at. But then she goes, did you see a date in Charles's phone with Nancy Jo Hancock? Did you see a date with Jennifer Gilbert? Did you see a date with Juliet? I don't remember if we heard Juliet's last name, because it was objection.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get Juliet's last name. Yeah.
Judge says who Charles was dating is not relevant. except he says that gal that went on a date with him the night before. And did he say murder? He said the night before. And I can't remember what he said. I didn't write it down. I need to go watch that again.
I just have Judge. This is not relevant whether he went on dates or not. I didn't have before. I didn't catch that. Yeah, I didn't catch
Yeah.
the murder. If he said something, about
Well,
that.
he said except for that gal that he went on the date with the night before. Maybe he just said the night before.
Yeah.
And that's only because she has been on the stand, and so the foundation has been laid for questions to be asked about her. So here's the door open, Lori. You can ask about Nancy Joe. You can ask this witness about what he found on Charles's phone about Nancy Joe, and she doesn't do it.
Right.
She doesn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Judge has given her several open doors that she hasn't taken.
Yep. And we have it as Florence Hughes. You heard Lawrence Hughes. We heard it as Florence.
Oh, maybe it was Florence. Maybe there was a fourth person he was supposed to go on a date with.
Well, then somebody said in chat that he was going to see, and there you go, Jen 405.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that.
Somebody said, yeah. Sorry. Somebody said that it was real estate agents. That maybe they weren't dates. Maybe they were real estate agents.
Oh, that's true.
You know,
she did say dates with no foundation for were they dates.
Yeah. And she was supposed to go pick up somebody. Was it Florence Hughes she was going to go pick up, or was that Jennifer Gil? He was supposed to pick up somebody at an airport.
That was Florence.
That's Florence. Yeah, that was Florence. Yeah. Yeah, smearing the victim is never a good look. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Because that's what she was doing.
That would have been funny if it was Lawrence Hughes, though.
Yeah.
So then she asked about going to the hotel room and getting his belongings. How does it happen? Well, we packaged everything up and we took it down to evidence because it wouldn't make sense for us to take everything apart in the hotel room and then have to package it back up and then go take it to evidence. So they did it in that order. Were you aware of my $2 million life insurance policy? Why does she keep asking about being aware of her $2 million life insurance policy?
I'm trying to figure that out too. Like why, what significance, what is the relevance there?
I don't know where she's going.
Yeah. That, I'm trying to think about that too. Oh, Miss Shorty became a new member. Awesome. Miss
Shorty, you're number one. I just got memberships activated. Miss Shorty is number one.
Oh, woo! Fantastic.
Look at that.
What does Miss Shorty win? Not to put you on the spot.
She wins a wonderful evening with me and you.
Oh, Miss Shorty. I can't tag you, Miss Shorty.
Oh, and she gifted 5 more. Awesome. Thank you.
That is the best. All right. I have to go immediately upon the ending of the stream.
Squeegee, you got one. You got one of the 5.
Yes. Sweet. Yes. Oh, yes. I see it. All right. Thank you. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Akasha, Rachel, Eliza.
That rarely happens that somebody in chat actually gets a membership. So
right. 5 more.
Cool. Well, now you're just showing off. Beach Bum, Trace on the Case, Salty Sleuth. Awesome. Dizzy was
Dizzy. Nice.
Party in here now.
Yep. All my peeps.
That's awesome. Thank you, Miss Shorty. That's very, very kind of you. Appreciate that.
You rock. Thank you so much. Miss Shorty, you were my first. You'll always be my first.
And, Therapist is welcoming in. She got, I guess, Therapist got a membership too because she's saying welcome in all the.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah. Nice.
Did you get one too? Akasha, Rachel, Eliza. Oh, Forrest. everybody was gifted. Awesome. Yay. Oh, that's so cool when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a little bit of a struggle with YouTube, but we worked our way through it, and now we're here. We're on the other side. And Miss Shorty, you're so
Cheers.
generous. Thank you.
Fantastic. Good. All right.
Okay. Were you aware of my $2 million life insurance policy? She asked that to so many people. Were you aware of the threatening text messages? So she's testifying again without foundation. Like, have we seen one single threatening text message from Charles to her?
Yeah.
I don't think we have.
Here's one of the theories, and it'll be quick. She's been going on and on and on about that extraction of Charles's phone, right? So, and she's also been going on and on and on about these threatening text messages. Do you think that's why she wants this, the extraction, so that she can prove these threatening text messages?
Maybe so.
And then if she opens up that Pandora's box, I'm sure there's other messages in there that Charles is like, Lori, where are you? It's day 35. It's day 50. JJ is crying. Where are you? Where are you? You know, so
Right.
she may not want to open that door, but she's so
Right.
focused on these threatening text messages, and she's so focused on his extraction, you know. So anyway, that was one of my theories of.
Yeah, that's a good one. Like, she wants to go there, but does she really want to go there? Like the judge has said to her on multiple occasions, well, you can do that if you want, but you're going to be opening up a door.
Yep, absolutely.
So when did you go to the hotel room? Immediately after you gave us the hotel key. And then what is the chain of custody of the things you took? He explains that. In your video review of the Burger King video, did you see JJ in the front passenger seat? That's what I was able to see on the video. Why did she ask him that? Was JJ in the front passenger seat?
What does it matter?
Right. Is it
What does it
relevant?
matter? Yeah, makes no, yeah.
Hotel property provided laptop. Oh, did you get anything off the laptop? Eventually he did get an extraction report from the laptop, although he didn't get into it himself. And then did you use that for, so we're on redirect. So redirect. So when you got the laptop, did you take anything off of it? No, but I did get some of the extraction report. Did you use that to come up with your geolocation thing that we just saw? No, I didn't use it for that. I didn't use the iPad for that. Were you only asked to do an investigation into the geolocation or into the locations of the cell phone on July 11th? Yes, I would have done more if I had been asked to expand my time search beyond that, but I wasn't. I was only asked to investigate July 11th cell phone locations. What is your conclusion? The devices clearly left the scene well before the 911 call and well before the 911 call was placed and returned well afterwards. So
Yep.
that's a pretty solid conclusion. Do you have
Agreed.
anything after that?
Not after that, but I have something just before that. But also, Trial TV Live, Aaron just gifted 5, and Pammy got 1, and Carolina got 1. Sweet Melissa, difficult research, right? Difficult research.
Wow.
And Iowa backyard. So
Very nice. Thank you,
Yes.
Trial TV Live. I appreciate that.
that was a good one. Kresha got 1.
Yeah, Kresha got 1. Nice.
Good job, Aaron. So I got, okay. So explaining, he explains, let's see, how long did it take you to compile the data? He's like, I'm not fully understanding that question. Then he explains asking Google phone service provider. He says he doesn't log that time, but then she's like, well, pages 88 to 105, 8 pages of data. And then he's like, and I'm like, Lori, that's not 8 pages. From 88 to 105 is not 8 pages. And then he's like, I'm not sure that's a question. So Lori doesn't math. Lori doesn't math very well. So, but that
No.
just kind of, that didn't go anywhere. So
She doesn't lawyer very well either. So it's a good match.
Yeah. So one of my theories, if we may, because I'm trying to think about, let me see how I can. So so because we were watching the interviews like an hour after this happened, right? This morning we watched that before the trial started. So Lori is saying Charles comes over and he leaves his phone. He comes back and he gets all hot and heavy, and then Tylee gets in. She comes out of her bedroom with the bat, and she gets in. She puts the bat up and says, trying to protect her mom. And Charles is red in the face, and he grabs the bat away, and then Alex jumps in. Right, so when we were watching Tylee, she seemed like really like calm. She wasn't stumbling over her words. She wasn't becoming embarrassed. And I'm like, how? And I was having a hard time wrapping my head around how does a 16-year-old lie like that without stumbling over her words? And a lot of people in chat were like saying, oh, that's when I was 16, I could do that, or my brother, sister, friend could do that. And a lot of people were saying, well, she was coached, she was groomed, and all this stuff. So first of all, what do you think about that? Do you think Tylee, like, she didn't miss a beat telling that whole story? And to be quite honest, that all three stories were kind of the same. Where Alex came in, he got upset that Lori had his phone. Tylee jumps in with the bat. He grabs the bat. Alex jumps on him. They tussle, and then Alex shoots him. Do you think that that's what happened? Do you think Tylee was coached? Like, what's your thought about what actually did happen?
I have no doubt Tylee was coached. I have no doubt that 47 minutes. No, the 47 minutes was so. She said she left the scene after the thing happened. All right, hold on. I got to check my detailed notes of where she was. Right,
7:37 was the last outgoing communication. The 911 call comes in at 8:36, 8:35. Right. And Charles' phone leaves at 7:50. So between 7:37 and 7:50, right? That's only
right. And she was at the Burger King by 7:56, 7:57, right?
Yeah, it was only like a couple minutes. It was like just a few minutes. Yeah.
Right.
So
they're gone from 7:50-ish to 8:48. So almost an hour. They're gone for almost an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I have no doubt that Tylee was coached. I have no doubt.
To the point where she was just smooth. I mean, there was a lot of details, and Detective Cassandra, she was asking her all kinds of questions. She didn't stumble once. That's where I was trying to wrap my head around. How did she not stumble? How did she not once say, oh yeah? Like, she didn't pause. She didn't be like, look off to the left or right, whatever people do when they're trying to remember a lie or whatever. Like, she was just smooth. Like, that blew my mind. Like, here's a 16-year-old that is that brainwashed, if you will, gaslit, coached, whatever you want to say. Like that I can't wrap my head around.
I guess after hearing all of this specific evidence at the scene of the crime, and that was presented to and by the experts, I need to go back and watch that interview again and see what I think, how it coincides with the evidence and with our theories and conspiracy theories about what happened.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely would help me to watch it again.
Yeah. I think somebody just said, Madeline said, best, let me pull that. Madeline says the best lies are partial truths. So here's kind of where I'm leaning now, where Lori, I guess Charles left his phone. Okay, we'll give him that. Lori takes the phone. He comes back in and he's like probably like swearing at her, like, will you just give me my effing phone? Just stop it already. Because he's had it up to here with her, right? Because she's just been a real jerk to him this whole time. So, and then she's like, well, what's going on? Well, how come Adam's coming into town? What are you guys doing? What's this about? What's that about? She may have even thrown Nancy Joe in his face, whatever. And he probably did get pissed off at her. Maybe he got red faced and he raised his voice. Lori's probably yelling back at him. Tylee comes out of the bedroom, and maybe she did have a bat. So she's not lying about that. Maybe she did have a bat. And this is where it gets muddy. So does Charles actually grab that bat from her, and then Alex tussles? Maybe she was poking out Charles in the face, and he just kind of like, Tylee, what are you doing? Just stop it. And then Alex took that as the cue to jump on him, and they tussle. But then somehow Charles and Alex have to separate enough that Alex can go get the gun. So maybe Alex came straight away with the gun. Maybe Tylee put the bat in Charles's face, and he's like, Tylee, come on, man, what are you doing? Just stop it. And then Alex says, hey, turn around, and boom, he shoots him. That kind of thing.
I would think Tylee might be more traumatized in that exact scene, but maybe there's a variation of it where she's not directly by where he was shot. Because I mean, if she's right there and the bat's in the face, she's kind of in the line of fire. I mean, that's
right. And she said she heard a sound. She said she was sent outside by Lori, and she said she heard a sound, like she described it as the bat hitting the floor. That's what check that interview out. It's not long. It's like maybe 15, 20 minutes, but she says it sounded like a bat hitting the floor. So that's clearly the shot. So she was outside, and then Lori comes outside and sends Tylee back in to get Lori's purse. So what mother does that? What mother does that? Sends their child back in to see, somebody shot. So then where's the second shot come in? And when, why did Alex shoot Charles the second time? And then why didn't any neighbors hear those shots?
Yeah. Yeah. Why was there not a report by a neighbor of loud arguing next door, followed by gunshots, 2 gunshots?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why was there no blood spatter behind the body on the floor? It goes through his sternum, through his heart, through his back, and there's no blood spatter? How is there no blood spatter from a bullet going through your heart?
Right. Yeah.
None. Did they clean up the scene afterwards? Did the police even check to see if it was cleaned up? Did they do luminol testing to see where traces of blood were? I don't think they did. I don't think they did luminol testing.
They didn't. They did nothing. Yeah. The neighbors were quite nosy. Yeah, they knew about the pool party. Yeah. I don't know. I'm always fascinated about how things happen. You hear people's stories. The neighborhood's pretty close, though, right? Aren't they? If I remember correctly from that body cam, it's like a typical suburban neighborhood, right, Joe? Is it?
Yeah. It's a lot like the one that I was living in before I moved up here to the new studio, to the new Airbnb down in Santan. And I guarantee you, if my neighbor had fired a weapon in his house, I guarantee you I would have heard it. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't hear a lot of stuff, but you would hear a gunshot,
right?
A 40, especially a 45 gunshot. Right. I mean, that's 45s are not quiet. Maybe not a 22, maybe, but a 45, yeah, you're going to hear that.
So, Child Junkies, maybe it wasn't as big as a fight. Okay, so that means that Tylee had to make all that up, or not make it up. I guess. Yeah, I guess my biggest problem is Tylee was smooth and cold as ice. I can get Alex and Lori because they're adults. I get it, but a 16-year-old, that's where I'm. And then I'll give Tylee kudos for holding her stuff together while being questioned by an officer. I'd be like, wow, that's where I'm. That's my sticking point. That Tylee didn't crack. Not that it was, intensive interrogation, but she told that story. Questions were thrown at her, and she came right back with answers. That's where I'm like, I guess that's my sticking point. That's all.
Yeah, no, I'm right there. I'm right there. I need to go watch that again so I can figure out if that's my sticking point too. But
yeah,
she's not alive right now, so she can't testify.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Alex isn't alive, so he can't testify. JJ's not alive. Charles isn't alive.
Yep. And is that jury thinking, wow, Tylee was 16. They know Tylee was 16 in 2019. So they know 6 years. They know she's 22. Where's this Tylee that everybody's talking about? You know, JJ, okay, he's still a kid. He's like 12, 13, but where's this 22-year-old? Where's she? You know? So, dude.
Yeah, if she's heavily medicated, she might be calm, but is she really answering the questions articulately and concisely?
Yeah. You know, and I get that, trial junkies. Every 16-year-old has lied to their parents. I've done it. Of course, we've all done it, but I didn't lie about a murder. I didn't lie at a police station. I didn't lie about my stepdad getting shot by my uncle. You know, I mean, those are some heavy things to lie about. You know, I've lied about stupid shit, of course, but it's stupid shit. Sorry. It's stupid stuff. It's not, you know, it's not a murder by my uncle on my stepdad. That's where I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever be convinced that it went down the way they said it did. I know it didn't go down the way they said it did, but I'm just trying to figure out.
Where did we hear that from Trina today? Was that
What?
on the final on redirect of Inkland?
What
Where she said, so Loria asked you about her calm demeanor. And she said, you had a calm demeanor. Had you just had a family member shoot your spouse, had you just in the presence of your children, had the other police officers that were calm on the scene just had their significant other shoot their spouse, or had their family member shoot their spouse or significant other in the presence of their children. Mm-hmm. Was that during the redirect of Inkland?
That was, yep. It was absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
Because that was powerful. That was powerful.
Yep. I agree. Yep. Yeah. That's good.
That's one of my favorite redirects of the entire trial at this point.
Yeah. Lori's behavior stood out odd because we had a homicide. A husband was shot, killed by brother-in-law. Then were you calm? She says, yes. Had you just seen your husband get shot? No. By a family member? No. In your home? No. With your children watching? No. Yeah. It was very successive like that. I remember that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tylee wasn't panicked or overwhelmed with emotion. Yeah. It's just, that's where I'm having trouble wrapping my head around how Tylee was just so calm. Well, when you have a chance, if you can, watch Tylee's
absolutely
interview again and tell me what you think about it. So.
Absolutely.
So. All right. What do you want to do? Yeah, I got Rafa. Oh, he's calmed down. Little man back there. He's calmed down. He probably was just let in, to be quite honest. Aaron probably literally just let him. So what he does now, he'll come in one way, he'll come in and bug me for food, or he'll come in this way, bug me for food. Then he goes out that way. He does this cycle, and he gets food generally from me. I'm the softie. I give him food, and Aaron gives him food, but I think I probably give him I spoil him way more than anybody else does. So
it's almost like having another teenage son.
It is. Didn't she start cleaning her room and showing her mom she wasn't dark? That I'm not sure about. Yep, Aaron. Yep, that's correct. He just came in. So he comes back here, he meows, and then I let him out. What's up, buddy? All right.
Okay, so on Friday, I have this video coming out with Janelle Murphy, who was a part of the Preparing a People group. Now, she never did buy into it to the level that Melanie bought into it, that some of the others bought into it, that Zulema bought into it, but she was friends with Melanie Gibb. She was married to one of the primary keynote speakers in the Preparing the People circle. Mm-hmm. She and Melanie actually picked up Chad from the airport to bring him into the East Valley area. And that's coming out on Friday. So I want to try and play a short for that real quick that we have prepared. I'm going to see if I can get that pulled up here. Here we go. All right. So this is a short. This is actually the beginning of our interview, and it kind of actually is a really good introduction. It's only a half an hour interview, so when it's released on Friday, I mean, it won't take a whole bunch of your time, but I think it's really, concise because it's only a half an hour long. We hit on a lot of points related to her relationship with the key players in that whole scenario, and her coming to trial. So she came to trial yesterday and today to kind of get closure and healing on her being associated with these people where eventually a lot of evil things happened, and she didn't play a part in those evil things, but she was a part of the group that led up to that offshoot weirdness stuff. And anyway, let's hear what she has to say.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
the beginning of this interview that's going to be released on Friday. Oh, we don't have sound.
Yes,
Hold on. Let me back up.
Yeah.
Can I back up? I don't know how to back up shorts. We'll just go. We're going to go with it.
Okay.
and through the start with her and Chad, and a lot of the others through this process, because I knew them, except for not a lot about Lori. So maybe I'm here because this is a little bit of a closure for me personally.
Okay.
So I knew a lot of them. I associated with everybody who was involved in this case, but the main one I didn't was with Lori. And so I feel like I'm here to kind of wrap up that, have my own closure, and just be here for anybody. So I think I have said in a different interview that I felt like there was like a higher purpose for this, and I got roasted. But I tell you what, now that we're kind of tying things up with the rest of this and kind of on the tail end now, I do see that higher purpose. And that higher purpose is it's brought a lot of people together. And it's brought a lot of people around the victims and the families of them. And it gives us an opportunity to support them and love them and offer any love or encouragement and give them strength in what they need. So I do see now the higher purpose of what.
So
Awesome. And that's going to be a half-hour video on Friday with a Friday release.
Correct. Yes. And Janelle is an interesting mix because she's Navajo and she's also LDS.
Oh,
and she was raised in both of those, like at different times of the year. Like the way I understand it, she would spend most of the year in Utah, but then she would come to the reservation during the summertime and adjacent times. So she has some very interesting thoughts and a very unique perspective. And it was very nice of her to come and spend some time with me for that interview. So I hope you all get something out of that. She's also written a book. I'll promo that book on there. I think Nate Eden is also going to interview her later in the week virtually. So I got the scoop on Nate. Yes. I got the scoop on you, Nate.
There's Deborah in your chat that's asking if everybody on your channel is Mormon. Do you want to
Oh my
address
gosh,
that?
no.
Do you want to talk about that?
Where's that at? Where's that at? Deborah.
Deborah asked it a little bit ago.
LDS is a cult.
It's backed by Real Happy and YB. Deborah, let's see.
What time? Give me a timestamp.
9:37.
There we go. Boom. I do not have a Mormon channel. I was raised Mormon, Deborah. But I have my issues with the Mormon Church, and Krish and I have done several episodes of a joint investigation. Well, she's been doing the investigation. I've just been asking her about it into the Mormon Church. So no, this isn't a Mormon channel. I do welcome Mormons into my channel, and I expect them to also welcome non-Mormons into my channel and any adjacent channels that we all join into. We're all a community. We're all on this planet together. And we all have to be accepting of different thoughts and opinions and theologies. I've said many times on my channel that I believe that the LDS Church does lend itself towards weird offshoot cults like Lori's and Chad's. Like, I'm not even going to name them all right now. There are several other offshoot Mormon cults that the church has lent itself to, and I think they have tried to ignore them. I think they ignored Chad and Lori. I don't know that they would have known about Ruby and Jody. I don't know they would have known about the weirdness that was going on there because it was just their family, but it still did lend itself towards child abuse, like that whole thing. And Justin Jeffs and there's a whole lengthy name list we could go, but we're all in this together if we're looking for justice and if we have an open mind and if we're tolerant and loving of other people, whatever their beliefs are. You know, that's the YouTube and social media community can be very savage. And I don't welcome that. I don't welcome that in my channel. I don't want it. I don't need it. Yep. So if you make blanket statements about a particular group of people without evidence of it, then I'm not going to be tolerant of that. But if you're in here just to find, you know, justice and have an open mind to other people's ideas, and we can all get along. We can all get along, and we can all make a difference together with open minds and open hearts.
Yep. Well put. Simi at 941 said something. I don't know if you can actually say those words, but that's she's not against any faith, kind of echoing what you were saying, but well put, Joe. Well put.
Yeah.
That seems to be so true because everything that's initial is in its purest state is generally cool, but it's when humans get their hands on it and they twist it and they manipulate it to control, right?
Yeah.
It's mostly about control. I think it always boils back down to control in my opinion. One group tries to control another group, whether it's gender, religion, geopolitical, right? It's just all about control. I'm going to control you. I need you to come on my train of thought, you know? So,
right. I need you to believe what I believe, and
Yep.
you can't believe anything different.
Yep.
And when it comes to religion, evil things have been being perpetrated in the name of religion for thousands and thousands of years, whatever religion, multiple religions all across the board.
Yep.
And we just need to be against that evil, whatever religion it is.
I agree.
Or whatever religion it's not, because evil comes from non-religion too. But anyway, All right, let's start going through some starred questions. Wonder if she was banking on the case being dismissed. She has filed motions for dismissal many times without any fruits of her labor being realized. The jury will freak when their admonishment is lifted. Do you know what that means?
After the trial is done, are they going to Google?
Oh,
are they going to go and Google Lori and So,
well, they can just come on my channel and I will inform them of all the facts of the case, and then they can inform me of what happened in that jury room. Can they take phones without permission or warrant? No. They can request them to be voluntarily surrendered, or then they can apply for a warrant and either they get a warrant or they don't. But no, they can't take phones without permission or warrants. Did you see Lori had cashier at Walgreens cut tags off and she dropped the pair to the floor and put them on? Ooh, I did not. Why was she barefoot? She was barefoot because she says she left out of the house in a hurry. And actually, when we see that lizard Q, do you remember the lizard Q 3D model recreation of that room? Somebody told me in court that they could see a pair of sandals by the door. I didn't see it myself, but I may have to go back and look. And it's very possible they did actually go out of the house without their shoes, sandals, whatever on. Her and Tylee both.
Yeah. I could see that happening. You know, I could see that. They left in such a hurry, or Lori tells Tylee, get out, get out, get out. You know, I mean, she literally had just kind of woken up, right? Because she was in her bedroom and she was,
right,
according to them. So I could see that.
Right. And that makes me curious. If she was 16 or 17, why was she not getting ready for school? Where did she go to school?
You
know,
was she homeschooled? Was she
right.
homeschooled at all?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, she should have been. Like senior, junior, senior, something like that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Why do we always end these conversations with more questions than answers?
I know. Oh, Dizzy says homeschooling. So she was homeschooled.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know that.
Wow. So she probably didn't homeschool JJ because of his challenges, I would guess.
Dizzy said she got her GED early. Yeah, I didn't know any of that. Thank you, Dizzy. Always dropping the knowledge on us. Oh, she was going to college in 3 months. I do kind of remember that.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I do remember she was, I do remember that. All right. Thank you, Dizzy, for shaking the old cobwebs there.
Who did have Charles?
Oh, sorry.
Why did Lori have Charles' hotel room key? Well, because probably it was in his wallet, and she got his wallet either off of his person or out of his car, and we don't know the answer to that right now.
Yeah, it was in his wallet. That's what Werther said. It was in his wallet. Right. We were just trying to figure out, was that on his person, like Joe said, or in the car?
Yeah, and we don't know.
You don't have to pull this up per se, but Susie says Fox 10 has it on today. Black slides. Lori walked in with, dropped flip-flops on the floor. So you were asking earlier if she had shoes on when she walked into the Walgreens. So apparently she did. And therapist, also took a screenshot, and it looks like there's like if this is her foot, there's like a little strap across it. So it does look like she has shoes on. Yeah.
Ooh. I love investigative reporting. I love it. You guys are on the case. What is the age of consent in Arizona? I don't know. I don't know if I want to know. In this case, the only applicable thing to that would be I'm not going there. Why didn't Adam reach out to the police department on Friday after not hearing from Charles? He said, you're just going to have to figure it out for yourself. You do what you think you should do. Like he didn't fly Adam in to have a confrontation or an intervention, whatever you want to call it, that morning. He was just going that morning to pick up JJ and spend a half an hour or so with JJ before they got to school. He was going to take him to Burger King and get him his Burger King. Then they were going to sit, somewhere near the school and, spend half hour, 45 minutes together before school. They weren't going to do the intervention then. They were going to go talk. They were going to go to the steak center, play basketball with the stake president, and then talk to him about an intervention, towards the end of the night on the 11th. Mm-hmm. So that's why, because he just didn't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, therapist, I just saw that as well. Thank you. And we always joke, if we are ever investigated, our Google searches are just going to destroy us. My history alone is like, what is the age of consent in Arizona?
I have a 4-button combination on my computer that if I hit that, my computer just erupts in flames. It's gone.
Nice.
like an enemy of the state, like Gene Hackman had an enemy of the state. You remember that?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just
It's
starts
just
to
like,
smoke and explodes.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Um, how long was Charles' scheduled stay in Arizona? Oh, we heard that. We heard that when he was flying in and flying out today, and I didn't pay attention to it. It was like 3 or 4 days. It wasn't long.
Mhm. I don't recall. I know it was like a Thursday, right? Or Wednesday. He flew on a
Yeah,
Wednesday and Thursday was the event, right?
yeah, yep.
And then he
And then he
drove
was flying
down.
back out. He was flying back out like by like Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, because he wanted to see his friend Eric. He wanted to do all these things, spend time with his friend Eric, spend time with his family, possibly get an intervention, spend time with his son. Yeah, he said he wanted to do that all within a short period of time. Yeah.
Who is this Gabe? Hold on, let me pull it up on my phone. I'm gonna have to look away, divert
Oh,
my attention.
that's
Is that Bonilla? Is that Bonilla?
yeah, yeah. I
Gabe
don't know who he
Bonilla.
is though. Yeah.
He was
Gabriel.
he was the bishop of their church, I believe.
Ah. That's not the guy they were playing basketball with, is it?
I don't think so. I don't think it was the stake president. No,
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I think he was the bishop. Yeah. Oh shoot, I don't have hers up. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that was that. I think he was the bishop. I don't think he was the stake president. So once again, the way that LDS churches are set up, a ward is a smaller congregation, based on geographical territories. You put 4 or 5 wards together, that becomes a stake, stake. So the wards have leadership that's called a bishopric,
Mhm.
bishopbric. The bishop is the leader of that, so he's the leader of the congregation, like the pastor, if you will. And then you put all those 5 together into a stake, 4 or 5 together into a stake, and the stake president is the leader of that regional organization of local congregations. So I don't think that Gabe Bonilla was a stake president. I think he was just a bishop of their local congregation.
Right. And it was Holmes. President Holmes was who they were playing basketball with.
Exactly. Yes.
Holmes. Yeah.
Hey, Holmes, want to go play basketball, Holmes?
Exactly. What?
Jen, thank you. Nice super sticker.
Thank you, Jen.
Boom, boom.
I'm
Why couldn't
listening.
they interview? Yeah, you're fine. Why couldn't they interview him via Zoom? Who is him, Moonchild? Who were they supposed to interview via Zoom? Put it in chat. We'll get to it. Haha. Auntie Bev suspenders. What time do you get to the courthouse in the morning? That's a secret I will never divulge, because I was number 1 first in line today, and nobody's getting there before me tomorrow. If I tell my secret, somebody's going to show up 5 minutes earlier. But it's not that big a deal. Like if you show up within the first half hour of when I show up, you're within the top 20 of seats. So that's like the first 2 rows of the gallery. So it's all good. It's all good, but I'll never tell. Divulging secrets is not my thing. Overall, when you're in the courtroom, what is the feeling Lori gives you when you are there? Example, her appearance, on how she advocates for herself. I would have to say that the predominant feeling is she's lost. Like she has a particular narrative. She has a particular story. She has particular arguments for particular witnesses that she wants to get across. But overall, she's lost. Like she doesn't know how to cross expert witnesses like the guy we saw today, like Werther today. She doesn't know how to cross him. She doesn't know the relevant questions to ask to challenge the results of his findings. Like she just wants to ask about really odd, off the topic stuff. And a lot of them get objected to, and rightfully so, by Trina K. And it's just, the feeling I get is she's lost. She came in this. She admitted in the last interview she did after the Dateline interview, she did another one, that she's just up there to tell her side of the story, because in Idaho, she didn't get to do that.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't get to tell her side of the story. So she wants to do that now.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of that is legally challenged. Like you can't just get up and tell your side of the story. You have to have facts on your side. You have to have a foundation for saying some certain things and presenting some certain evidence. And you have to subpoena your witnesses to get them to appear. And she has barely subpoenaed anybody, and you have to subpoena them according to the procedure, the rules of procedure of the court, of the local court. She hasn't done that. Like, she's lost. Like she's way lost. That's the feeling I get.
Yeah, well put. That comes across to us as well. But well put.
Boop, 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 boop. There we go. We just got that. When is the next trial? Okay, that was yesterday. We went over the next trial schedule. I'll just summarize they're going to start with the jury questionnaires the third week of May, like around May 19th, if I remember right. And then they're going to review those, and then they're going to do jury voir dire in person, like the very end of May. And then they're going to start with the actual trial opening statements on June 2nd, if I remember right. Is that a Monday by any chance? Did I get that right?
Let's see. That's June 2nd opening. You are correct on that. And June 2nd is a Monday. That is correct as well.
Boom.
Yes.
The old memory's not as bad as I thought it was.
2 for 2 on that one.
All right. Eliza, I do not have a Patreon yet. I have somebody trying to talk me into it, so I may go there. We'll see. To be determined. Thank you for asking, though. Did Lori go up to the judge today? Yes, she did. No. Lori went up there. She went up there with her advisory council and with the prosecutor. They were all up there. That's funny you asked that, because the person that was sitting next to me, who is sight challenged, asked me that very same question. Did she get to go up there and talk to the judge in person? She did, and she didn't get shocked.
She did that yesterday. I think I asked you that as well. Who represents her, or who's doing the talking? And you said that she is.
Yeah.
Right. Aw.
Jen, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So wonderful, Jen. Really appreciate that.
New member, Miss Shorty, 5 memberships, therapist, 5 more memberships, Trial TV Live.
Woohoo.
And then I think this is the last starred one. Oh, Mel, welcome aboard. Thank you. I appreciate having you here.
Mel is a fantastic addition. She's always in our chat. She's a poet. We've read a poem, and she's written a couple more. And that's you got a good one on your side.
Very cool. Very cool. I love poets. I used to be a poet before my heart died. It's still in there somewhere. My inner poet will reemerge at some point.
It will. It's always there. It never goes away.
Right. So that's all I have for tonight. Do you have anything else?
Sorry. Love always asked therapist, I just randomly swallowed and choked on my spit. She was just talking about that the other day. Hopes the trial ends next week. So Trina was saying that she's going to be done possibly tomorrow, because, well, it depends on Duncan, if Duncan is sick or not.
Duncan needs to get his butt in court, and no matter how bad he feels, get up there on the stand, dude. Come on, man up.
Yeah, let's finish this up. So in any event, maybe by Thursday, if Lori does not have a defense, closing arguments on Monday, this could go to the jury on Tuesday. We could have, what's today? Tuesday, we could have a verdict by this time next week. What are your thoughts? What's the scuttlebutt? What are you hearing?
That's best case. That's best case scenario. Lori could like try and screw that up by a couple days, but definitely by the end of next week, by like Wednesday, Thursday, it's going to the jury. 100%.
Yeah,
I put money on it.
So what was a 5 or 6 week trial is now like 2, right? This is their second week. This is week 2, and by the week 2.5, week 3, but 2.5, we could have a verdict. And you're gonna go to the Brandon Boudreaux?
That is the plan right now. I hope I can take a little bit of a break between, so I hope they wrap this one up sooner with good results. That's my hope and prayer right now. Let's get this wrapped up. Let's get justice for Charles, and then let's move on to the next one, which won't start till the 3rd week of May, and that may give me a little bit of a break and go touch base with some family and friends and touch some grass, get some sun.
There you go. Joan asks, is this trial and the next trial brand new trials, or are they retrials? These are not retrials. These are brand new trials. So
yeah.
All right. Here we are again. 2.5 hours. That seems to be where we always land, even if court ends early.
Holy cow! How do we do that?
Just the way it works, man. Just the way it works. Just know that when we get on the horn, it's going to be 2.5 hours, no matter if it's if the day ended early or not.
Right. You know what that word is? That is serendipity.
There you go. There you go. So, all right. Have a good night. People are saying good night. I've hit the wall as well. I went to bed at like 12:30 and woke up at 6, but I didn't have to get in a car and drive. So I feel your pain. I'm sorry that you had to drive, but thank you for doing what you're doing, Joe. We appreciate all that you do, and these behind the scenes looks at the courtroom is everything and more what we could have hoped for. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I'm very happy to do it. And I'm happiest that we get something out of it. I'm happiest that I'm making new friends. I'm happiest that we're going to get justice for Charles. I believe that. We got to believe that.
Absolutely.
Keep believing that.
Now, on a selfish note, not to take anything away from Charles, because that is truly what we are here for. On a selfish note, in the back of my mind, I wanted you to get to 2,000 subscribers before the end of this trial. Where do you stand right now?
Oh gosh, last I checked, I was 12 something.
Okay. All right. So chat, for all that, we have 77 watching on our channel, and we know your channel. Do you have subscribers only when people go to your streams?
I don't know where it was set. I think it may have been set to subscribers only.
Okay. Yeah. So guys, for the 77 watching, we had over 100 at one point. So that's the goal, because Jules did that for us for Sarah Boone. She's like, you guys need to, I'm trying to get you guys here. So she kind of put that in my bee in my bonnet. So I want that for you. And, so hopefully you will get to 2,000 before the end of the trial. So that's
well, I really appreciate that. I really do. I'm not so much about the numbers of having quality people in supporting me, because then it will grow organically. And I believe that everybody sitting here with us tonight is a great addition to the community. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, and for your subscriberships, your memberships. Miss Shorty, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And just keep coming back for good content. That's what I'm trying to do. Because if you have good content, people will keep coming back, right?
That is true. If you build it, as they say. Somebody said that once. I'm not sure who, but
I can't remember.
Yeah. Let's see. One Sunny Day subscribed. Hey, Mona subscribed. Great. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all that you do. Joe, thank you. Thank you to our mods, right? You have Forrest and Dizzy. You got some great mods there.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other mods? I hope I'm not missing anybody. Who are your mods?
Pokemon is too. I don't think she's here tonight. Yeah, I see Dizzy and Forrest. So
Forrest,
they handled things fantastically. Thank you, Dizzy. Thank you, Forrest. Especially
Okay.
Dizzy. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Appreciate all
Yep.
your help.
Yep. Mods are the best. We have great mods ourselves, and somebody was talking today, like the mods kind of swim. It was RA. Some people from RA came over to our channel, and there was a mod there, and she was modding for us inadvertently. She was like, "Make sure you hit the like button." And somebody said, "Once a mod, always a mod." It's like I think mods
Right,
just kind of swim around to other channels, and they can't help but to be a mod on another
right,
channel sometimes.
right.
But we love it. We love our mods, and Erin, she's a great producer, as she likes to call herself. She helps me out tremendously. So thank you to mods on both channels. Thank you to Erin, Joe. Thank you, and yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow night. So Joe, you have the last word. You want to walk us out?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate having you co-stream with us tonight. Thank you, mods. Thank you, chat. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for the super chats and super stickers and the new memberships. We got new memberships going on. So make sure you like on your way out if you haven't liked. And if you're on the replay crew, like and comment. And we will see you tomorrow night, as long as court goes, as long as it's expected to, at 9 p.m. Eastern time for day 7 of the Lori Vallow Daybell conspiracy to commit murder trial. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Good night.
Good evening. Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. Good evening. Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference if we put in the time. If we put in the time. Good evening. Come and find you a seat. Grab yourself a cup of joe and put up your feet. Let's talk about the latest news and all about true crime. We can make a difference.